Okay, we're moving right along. You've worked on the takeaway. We've got you now to the top of the backswing in a really wonderful position. As Sean mentioned earlier, we've rotated at the top, we've got width, high arms, and you'll notice we've created a very flat left wrist when the club is appropriately laid in the back of the cradle, incentivizing Joe to really make a good transition on the way down. Most players that have stood the test of time on the PGA Tour have this condition. They're not in full extension of cupped wrist, and they're not super bowed over the test of time. That's what we're trying to create, a very neutral standard position. So now that you're in this position, we're going to move in to that transition back to halfway down. Sean?
Yeah, so regardless of what we see on video, when we break it down, what we would see first from here is that as Joe would start down, his hands would travel towards me, and this right arm would be getting straight. So at that point, you can see how that left arm's come straight down. Now, obviously, when he's doing this, his body's going to be rotating, which gives it the effect that the hands go out. So if you start from the bottom again, take it to the top. Okay, we've seen the popularization of this really bowed left wrist, that there's probably 4 or 5 unicorns on tour who are athletic enough to do it. But remember, when you talk to great players, they talk about how they release it. So once I've set it into this position, I don't have to use my hands as much when I go to release it. What's going to happen from there is that as I start down, I'm still going to keep the pressure onto this, but as those arms are straightening and they're working down, you can see that the club head stays behind the hand path. This is actually the most guaranteed way to shallow the golf club. We can see where a lot of people want to take the arms out and do all that, but then that opens the face even more. So from the bottom, Joe, up to the top. Okay, and now from here is just start to straighten those arms as they work down, but keeping the right wrist into that position. So now we're in a place where we're not going to have to manipulate the club too much, and as he just keeps moving down into impact, that puts him into the position that he needs to be in. So we're trying to basically take 1 or 2 steps out of it to make it more efficient and make sure that you don't have to manage as many different things to make good contact with the ball.
So what we're going to do in this protocol is start from the top, working into transition to halfway down. Your objective here is to keep the back of the trail hand in the cradle, feeling that movement, trying to connect that to the brain where you feel that touch on the back of your hand, getting to that halfway down position where halfway down the club is still trailing the hand path and in the cradle. Do that 15 times before moving on to the next protocol.